The truth about EBITDA. Before you even begin the process to sell your business, you need to watch this short video to the end. Today we're talking about EBITDA and why it can affect the offers that buyers give you to buy your business. There's a lot of noise and misunderstandings about EBITDA, and more importantly, you won't fall for lowball offers to buy your business and lose out on tons of money. Let's get into it. Now, here's the truth about EBITDA and why it matters to you so much. The textbook answer is EBITDA is an acronym which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's not cash flow. I'll be repeating that so many times throughout this video. It is a benchmark used by buyers to value businesses so that they can compare different businesses apples to apples. Buyers are comparing EBITDA to EBITDA as they're shopping around for which business they're going to pursue buying and how much their offer should be to buy that business. You have to remember that business buyers are looking at many businesses to buy, not just yours. So there needs to be a standard way to compare different businesses. How you expense your interest, income taxes, depreciation, and amortization on your P&Ls and tax returns are between you and your CPA. Second point, buyers' misunderstanding of EBITDA. Some people looking to buy a business are being taught to value businesses by taking their EBITDA and multiplying it by 2, 3, or 4 to come up with the valuation or how much they should offer to buy the business. Here's the misunderstanding. EBITDA is not used to value small businesses. EBITDA is only used for medium to large businesses that have a strong management team in place, and your net profit is probably going to be much higher than $750,000. All these boxes need to be checked to use EBITDA, or it's probably not going to be used because the business is going to be too small. EBITDA is not used for about 90% of businesses. Point number 3, EBITDA is not cash flow. It's basically the anti-cash flow because when you're calculating EBITDA, you're pretending that interest, income taxes, amortization, and depreciation are not real expenses. But in reality, those are real life expenses that do affect cash flow. If you have a loan, then your monthly principal and interest payments really do cut into your cash flow. If you have equipment or vehicles that need to be replaced every handful of years, then that's a real capital expenditure. CapEx or capital expenditures show up on the balance sheet, but it's a real expense and you have to budget for that. That's why capital expenditures show up on the income statement in the form of depreciation. EBITDA will never equal true cash flow. If you create a budget thinking that EBITDA is cash flow, then you'll run out of money so fast that your head will spin. Point number 4, SDE, not EBITDA. Small Main Street businesses are not valued by a multiple of EBITDA. They're valued by taking a multiple of SDE because it's assumed that the owner is running the business and it's assumed that the owner is the general manager. The banks, the buyers, the CPAs, the attorneys, the brokers, everyone assumes that the owner is responsible for running the business. There's not a CEO in place, and there's probably not even a general manager. Small Main Street businesses are valued using a multiple of SDE, which means seller's discretionary earnings, also known as owner's discretionary earnings, or DE, discretionary earnings. The difference between EBITDA and SDE is adding back one owner's full-time salary or the general manager's full-time salary if there is one. The reasoning is because it's so assumed that the owner is the general manager. So again, calculating SDE is simply EBITDA plus one owner's full-time salary. That's 40 hours a week. If the owner is working 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week, that's 2 jobs, not 1. I don't get to adjust and add back the whole thing. I only get to add back one owner's full-time salary, which is 40 hours a week. Again, if there is a general manager in place, then we get to add back that one full-time salary because there needs to be a standard industry-wide, statewide universal way to calculate SDE, and it's assumed that the buyer is going to be one person, not a whole team coming. If you have systems and KPIs and management in place, even though you're a small business, then you get to argue a higher multiple. If you're an absentee owner or a semi-absentee owner, you're still subject to the normal principles and methods to arrive at the most probable selling price, aka valuation. If the owner of the business is absentee or semi-absentee, then you can increase the multiple of SDE because the buyer can work on the business and not in the business. Super important point, both EBITDA and SDE calculations can be adjusted for one-time, non-recurring personal discretionary expenses. We recast or normalize the P&Ls and tax returns to filter out non-operating expenses and income. So if you bought cell phones and iPads and Apple Watches for everyone in your family, or you bought your daughter a brand new car and it's a big Lexus SUV, then those are non-operating expenses. And those are adjustments that we can normally filter out in order to calculate the EBITDA, SDE, and ultimately value. These personal adjustments are normal and they're recognized by bankers, CPAs, brokers, buyers, and sellers, and they're so assumed that we don't even call them adjusted EBITDA or adjusted SDE. We just call them EBITDA and SDE. I'm Nolan Baum, and as a licensed and certified business broker, I help business owners sell their businesses for top dollar. If you want to schedule time on my calendar, book a meeting in the description, and we'll see you in the next video in the top right-hand corner of the screen.